Yo, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the show. If you're new here, my name is Mitchell. In today's episode, I'll be talking about, are you stuck in a loveless marriage? And I do these YouTube lives every Saturday at 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. And if you guys do find this video content of value, you guys could show your appreciation. Everything is in the description down below. And so I'm going to be starting out with a recap episode of fun-loving, easygoing relationships. All right, and that's an episode that you guys can kind of always go back to. And the slide that I'll be talking about today is lighthearted and lively. And so it's always going to be related to the topic as well. So love is playful and fun and never too serious. What's up, Tracy? Love is playful and fun and never too serious. And if you ever notice that a woman, they love to laugh, they love to have fun. Girls just want to have fun. Okay, it's kind of like that song. Girls just want to have fun. All right, so because the true essence, because if you are a man or woman, doesn't matter. If your natural essence, that your true essence is masculine energy is calm. They remain calm. They're cool and collected. They go after what they want, meaning whatever purpose they have, the drive, mission, and they're not stifled. They're not bothered. Now, it doesn't mean that they don't have the feelings of being bothered. Absolutely not, because hey, we're all human. We have those type of feelings. Okay, it's just that you're not going to allow those type of feelings to take and run you, basically. Now, how you make her feel, though, with your masculine presence is how she's going to feel about you. And that is super important in a relationship. Or at least even in the beginning of it. If you're trying to have someone in your life, you got to make them feel good about being themselves around you. So if you make them laugh, they will associate with having fun with you. If your lady isn't having a good time with you, or you're causing her more harm than good, more misery, she will be looking for the exits. She will be playing. So what you want to do as a guy is you want to be able to be this playful, creative person, to set dates, to plan on doing something new. Not all the time, but you want to do something new if you can. Be fun and exciting. What's up, Yami? Is it Yami? What's up? Now, you want to plan on doing those fun things. And also, when your lady is in her feminine energy, her feminine energy, that is when her man feel most attractive to her. So what does it mean? It means that the man has to understand that what is true masculine energy and how is he going to attract her enough for her to be feminine. And once she's more feminine, he's gonna be like, damn, I absolutely I love this. And so that is super important to understand, that if you're the guy, it means that you have to become the leader. And if you're not the leader, how can you become the leader? So may not kid have, and you have a question. Hey, being a kid is a great place to start, is to start understanding. Okay, so it's still for kids. You can still understand, okay, as you get older. Because I wish I had a father that taught me this as a kid, and I didn't. Okay, so now when your lady is in her feminine, that is how the guy's gonna feel most attracted to her. But in order for her to feel feminine, this requires the man to be a competent masculine man, so that he could open her up mentally. So men who are weak and use logic and reasoning to justify his action, he's expressing too much feminine energy. He's trying to logic and reason and let her know this is exactly the reason why he's blah, 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 which causes her to feel unsafe in the relationship. What's up, Crystal? Exactly how old are you, by the way? All right, because I'm gonna try to keep it PG. So yeah, You have to be a competent masculine man. Okay, men who are weak and use logic and reasoning, they express too much feminine energy, and when you express too much feminine energy, there's no polarity. Okay, there's no sexual polarity, and it's gonna cause her to be repulsed by you. She's not gonna want to be around you because it's too feminine energy. You know, you're gonna repulse each other. It's not gonna be a fun loving relationship. You would just be like roommates. Okay, so what does it mean? It means that a man must be who he is. A man must be who he is, not what he should be. And if you're not where you should be, guess what? You have to be able to learn. You have to teach yourself. You got to fill in your knowledge gap. You got to take care of yourself. These are all important things. If you don't have this, you're not going to have a successful relationship. Now, if you just want to be in a relationship just to say you be in one, there's a lot of people out there that are unhappy, that are settling in relationships that they're no longer really putting in effort. They rather put their effort somewhere else, or even lack of. Most people kind of just major in minor things, and they don't really do anything to better themselves. So as a guy, as a masculine man, you can't stay still. You have to be moving forward, and you have to become more than you are. You could always be better at one area of your life. Okay, so you got to remain masculine if you're a masculine guy. So what does it mean? It means that you don't vacillate between becoming feminine and then becoming masculine. Because the more you do that, it's going to cause her to feel unsafe. Meaning she's like, oh, she's going to feel unsafe, and she's going to be like, oh my God, I don't even know this man anymore. He's not even the same. If you're 11, I think you should focus on different things right now, but find something that you really enjoy and just focus on that. Whether it's a hobby, you want to be able to do things because you're 11 right now. Okay, I mean, based on what you're telling me, you're 11, so you want to be able to do certain things now to be better as you get older. So example, when I was 14, 15, so that was when I started dancing, okay? And I still dance to this day. And that is how you become exceptional at things. So I would suggest that. Now, moving forward. The meat at the topic, first slide of the day, is feeling stuck, okay? So if you're stuck in this loveless marriage, what you want to do is you want to focus on certain things. If you're feeling stuck in a relationship, if you ever felt like you're alone in a marriage, even if your partner's right next to you, you're in the right place. You're going to learn today. All right, you're going to learn. So if you guys have been together for a very long time and the guy just gives up on trying to open his lady up mentally, he should not be surprised that she does not want to do anything in a bedroom with him. Okay? The grass is always greener where you water it. And so too many people feel stuck or feel like they've settled into a relationship, whether they're married in a long-term relationship or they just, boyfriend, girlfriend. It's the same thing. Like a piece of paper saying that you guys are married and that you guys is going to be a little bit more difficult to separate each other. That's not a good way to try to lock somebody in. I know so many people that are not happy in a relationship, and he just submits and be like, oh, she always wanted to get married, but he doesn't want to get married, but he doesn't want to lose her. So he's coming from a place of fear now. Like, okay, so she wants to get married. I don't want to lose her. So let's just get married anyways. It's like, no, that's going against your values. And if you go against your values consistently and you do it time after time, and if you do it way too much, you're not living your truth. Eventually it's gonna eat you up inside out. It's not going to end well for you, and you're not going to be happy. So it's like, well, why not live your life according to what you believe in, and then let her know. And it's okay if she does not want that, she could walk away, or you could walk away from it. That is much better. And so that is why I've always stressed and told you guys about, you guys have to have similar goals and similar values. If you guys have different goals and different values, it's going to cause a lot of friction in your relationship, and it's not going to do your relationship any good. Okay, so That's why it's important to talk about certain things. Do you want to get married? Do you want to have kids? Are you looking to buy a house? Things like that. Financial. Is this person that you're going to be with going to be good with his or her financials? Or are they just going to buy everything? You know what I mean? Like, these are important things. You don't want someone to be in your life that becomes this huge liability, if you know what I mean. So, back to this topic. The grass is greener where you water it, okay? Don't be surprised if she doesn't want to do anything with you in a bedroom if you're not willing to become the man of the relationship, the leader, okay? Too many people feel stuck. You must date. You have to date and court your woman. This means that the moment that you come home, from a long day of work or wherever you've been, the first thing that you should focus on is about her. I don't care. You might have had a bad day. All good. How you doing, baby? How was your day? How's the kids? How was this? How was that? Ask her about her so that she can express herself and be genuinely interested, so that you could listen to her and make her feel heard, make her feel understood, that you care about her, that she's important to you. And don't just fake it, okay? But honestly, you want to be able to do this so that she feels safe around you. Like, damn, I could talk to Mitchell. Ask her about her day. Make sure she talks about herself. Women like to solve their problems by talking about things. And if she doesn't have any problems to talk about, maybe she has something that she wants to get across to you. Hey, I was thinking about getting this or doing that. How about that? And so you can always judge her level of interest based off what she's saying and how she's saying it. So now in other cases, the man is trying and she's unwilling to speak. So there comes a problem with communication. So a lot of guys also, when he's trying his best, he's like, oh, I'm just trying to talk to her and she's unwilling to talk. Well, guess what? You're the man, you're the leader, you're the competent leader. You have to still be able to open her up. You have to. So you can't just say, oh, well, she doesn't want to talk. She wants to shut down. Every time I ask her what's wrong, I'm just going to leave it the way it is because she doesn't talk. Well, that's not what a leader does. A leader figures things out. And it makes the call, basically. What's up, Jeff? Okay, so you still have to be the leader, okay? You can't say, oh, well, this and that. So you got to maintain the relationship. If the other person refuses to communicate, guess what? You still have to become the leader. You still have to decide to be the leader and say, look, I'm not leaving until you tell me what's bothering you, because, you know, I've noticed lately that you've been a little bit cold, a little bit distant. I'm not really sure what's going on. You have to talk to me. And so that also means that you have to take a step back and be willing to listen, because women solve their problems by talking about things. Men, we like to solve their problems, and that's another issue in itself. So most people now in a relationship, they like to settle. More likely than not, they're usually unhappy and wait, hold on. They're unhappy, or maybe one person stops putting in the type of effort into the relationship. And now this doesn't really account for about 40 to 50% of all first marriages ends in divorce. And the statistic does show that about 70 to 75% of women are the ones that initiates the divorce. Also breakups involving too, right? So the only thing that you can do as the guy in the relationship is to show up as the most masculine man in the relationship, the most competent man. In other words, really, there's really not a lot of days off for you. So you could be in a relationship for 3 months, for 3 years, or even 30 years. I've heard so many stories of even guys, they were so competent up until one point at their life, everything just starts crumbling down after 30 years. He was the masculine guy. He was not stifled. He was not perturbed. And he continued to be the masculine figure until one day he decides that he stops becoming the leader. And guess what happened? Usually about 6 months to 12 months, she will deal with your BS, whether it's you losing your job, maybe you're stressed about certain things. She will deal with you for about 30, like about 6 months to about a year. And then anytime after that, she's gonna be like, yo, I can't really trust this man. He's not really competent enough to make me feel safe. So if I don't feel safe around him and he's unstable emotionally, mentally, he might be abusive verbally, physically, and things like that, she's not going to feel safe and comfortable to be around you. And when that does happen, she's going to find the exits. And so you can't blame anybody else but yourself. And so it is really difficult to be a man sometimes, but I see it as a challenge. I see it as this opportunity for growth. And that's, to me, that's the beauty of life, is the opportunity of growth. So the only thing you can do is to present your most attractive self. Lychee iced tea. I forgot to add boba. It was game over, bro, the entire day. I just forgot the boba. You'd be like, you should be more appreciative, all right? Jenny, you need to be a little bit more appreciative. Otherwise, you could get it your damn self. And have some fun with it. Have some fun with it. I don't know if you're serious or not, but if it is, that's how I would approach it. I'd be like, I think you should be a little bit more appreciative for the fact that I am getting you some things. Okay, I don't work for DoorDash. I'm not Uber Eats. I'm your husband. I love you and I care about you. I forgot boba. You need to chill the hell out. Okay. All right. Now, let's move on to this, right? So, because a happy, healthy relationship, it takes effort. It takes two people, it requires two people. The best way is to show up into the relationship with the best of your knowledge. And if you don't know it, it's something that you must learn before it's too late. So if you think about this, most men, they won't learn this type of stuff, but they will always have enough time. So they always feel like, damn, I don't have enough time to learn about relationships. I don't have enough time to do this, but they will always have enough time to hire a lawyer and sign them papers. And then, you know how lawyers work. They bill you for those hours. They rack up those hours. They're trying to stretch it as long as possible. $400 or $500 an hour, depending on where you're at and how much they charge. $400 or $500 an hour. They bill you for like 40, 50 hours. You do the math. That's a lot of money. That's how they make the money, is by prolonging things. So that's just feeling stuck. Okay. Moving on to slide number 2. Hold on, if I could just operate this. Symptoms of a loveless marriage. Okay, symptoms. So more often than not, a marriage that is falling apart could be a lot of reasons, but one of the main reasons, primary reasons, is that it lacks communication. Okay, so but before we get into communication, we have to understand that men and women communicates differently. Men solve the problems by kind of isolating themselves. When I'm pissed off, upset about things, I might discuss it with some of my homies and things like that. But for the most part, I like to kind of close myself off. And that's just how I operate. I like to kind of go into my, what you call that? My little pad, if you will. And just kind of play some video games, kind of like take my mind off of certain things and then eventually get back into it. Okay, I don't totally ignore it, but I kind of isolate myself. And that's just what I like to do. Now, women, they like to solve their problems by talking about things. So if you're a guy and you're watching this and you understand and you're in this relationship, you have to be willing to be able to listen. So as a part of communication, it's not just talking about things, but how you listen to her, and you have to ask quality questions. So one thing that I like to do is whenever my lady is letting me know about, hey, or when she's telling me a problem, I like to tell her, I like to ask her questions like, what do you mean by that? Tell me more. Don't leave anything out. And so she talks. So when I say this, it makes you feel like this. Is that correct? If I don't understand a certain, if I'm trying to understand how she feels about a certain situation, those are quality questions that you would like to ask. Have a good day. All right, Jeff, take it easy, man. So when there's a lack of communication between the two, there's emotional disconnect, and it's inevitable, okay? Which also leads to lack of intimacy. So you become less intimate. You become a little bit more distant, a little bit more cold. So or you didn't really care enough to talk to her or at least let her know about it. So, and I understand, because as a guy, sometimes you kind of, I miss things too. I'm not perfect. And so maybe sometimes you're just one text message away, or maybe you got too busy and you forgot to let her know. You be like, hey babe, I know I was come home at 5, but today I have to stop by somewhere and get something for the house, so I won't be back till 6. And she's making dinner already at 4:30, thinking that you be coming home at 5, and you know what I mean, like things like that, just because you forgot to say something. So I understand, it's still up to you. You are still the leader. So now, the issue with poor communication between two people is that it tends to lower the level of intimacy, okay? And so when that does happen, it leads you two to become more isolated, a little bit more distant. She becomes a little bit more cold. So when a man shows up, he must decide to show up still as the leader, confidently, and become more competent to edit. It is our job to fix it, or at least let the problem be known. I've noticed that you've been less talkative lately. You've been a little bit more cold. Like, it has to be coming from a place of strength versus from a place of weakness. Like, hey, what's wrong? What's bothering you? You don't want to come from that. You hear that type of tone that I'm giving you guys, right? This is more from a place of weakness. It's like, I don't want to lose you. What's going on? That's the type of tone that I was giving out when I say, what's going on? What's bothering you? I'm kind of anxious. But a place coming from strength, it's like, I've noticed you've been a little bit more distant, a little bit more cold. What's going on? Is something bothering you? I want you to talk to me about this. I want you to be able to come to me and talk to me about certain things when it's bothering you. Because you want to give her a safe place so that she could come and let you know her feelings. Because that's how you could manage her feelings, by opening her up. So if you know something isn't right, you have to open her up. That is still your job. As the masculine man, you have to open her up. So, like I said, still, the best thing you can do is still show up as your best self. So, which means that you still have to learn about this. You have to learn how to ask quality questions. You have to learn, like, what's bothering you? Babe, come talk to me. Now, this is the fun part, because like any other guy, I've been in this situation too. So topic number 3, or slide number 3, is about complaining about sex isn't going to turn her on. Complaining about not getting access to the box is not going to turn her on. And if you are going to go to a therapist, you want to make sure that your therapist understands how attraction works. You want to understand how attraction works. What was that quote by Tony Robbins? He says, what makes a relationship work? Oh, yeah. He says, what makes a relationship work is things in common. What makes a relationship passionate are things that are different in energy. So if we have things in common, great, it's going to work. But it's not going to be passionate. It's not going to be love. It's not going to be that's your significant other. You could still have a good relationship, but a platonic one, but that's not what you want. If you don't want a platonic relationship, then you have to have things that are different, which is different in energy, masculine and feminine energy. So you have to understand those dynamics. And if you don't understand that, that is where you're going to fail time after time until you learn it. All right. Definition of insanity. All right. So you don't want to keep on repeating yourself. So let's talk about this. Complaining about sex isn't going to turn her on. And like any guy, okay, me included, at one point in my life, we've all been there, at least some. Okay. Well, I've been there. We don't do a lot of work to date and court your lady. We don't do anything to listen to her, making her feel heard and understood. And the cherry on top is that I got overly emotional. I complained a lot, made her my mommy, my therapist. Like, she didn't sign up for any of that. That's going to ruin the sexual polarity. So I did almost everything possible to turn her off as a man. And I expected her to want to give it up that ain't gonna happen. And so I had to take personal responsibility. And so as I was learning this, the beauty of it was little light bulbs start popping up. When things didn't go my way, guess what? I complained. And as I complained, it turned her off. And then I made her my therapist, because when things didn't go right, I complained about it. I talked to her, but I didn't really solve my problems. So that also was like, okay, is Mitchell just going to tell me about all this shit, or is he going to fix it on his own? And so if you think about it, the more I talk, the more feminine energy. This is creative energy, and we all have it, but all I did was show a lot of feminine energy. She's like, damn, I am not attracted to you right now. You are turning me off. You're making my thing dry as hell. Okay. So now a common theme for most guys in long-term relationship is that we complain to our wives or girlfriends that we never have enough bedtime things. Okay. Bedtime activities. And what most guys don't understand is that women have bedtime activities with a man she feels connected to. And so with what Tony Robbins says was, woman needs a reason to have bedtime activities. Men just need a place. If we think about that, that is very true. Okay. Now, and usually in long-term relationships, a lack of sexual desire is almost always an attraction issue. Okay. If you're not getting access to the box, it is almost always an attraction issue. So what does it mean? It means that somewhere along the line, you stop becoming the leader. You stop becoming this playful, fun-loving person that opens her up. Yes, it kind of sucks if you're the guy and you're like, damn, I don't want to do all that. Well, don't be in a relationship, all right? Be a chick, or find someone that's willing enough to settle for you, okay? Things, I don't know. But if you want an exceptional life, if you want the woman of your dreams, and you want to have a loving relationship, knowing that most relationship that people settle in, and you don't want to be part of that vast majority, well, guess what? You have to be willing to put in the work. You have to learn. You got to fill in your knowledge gaps. So it's an attraction issue if you're not getting access to the box, all right? And at some point in the relationship, it means that you stop becoming the leader of the relationship. And most men think, I don't need to do anything. And she's supposed to be, giving it up because we're married and you're supposed to do that, right? That's not how things work. So this means that you got to become a leader again. Yes, you do. You have to become a leader. You ever notice the whole theme of everything that I've said? It goes back to the guy. It goes back to the guy. Yeah, it does. Because if you're a guy and you're watching this, you're like, damn, this kind of sucks. Like I said, you have an option. You don't have to date. You don't have to, but if you want a good, loving, happy relationship, this is the work that you have to put in. All right. So it goes back to the guy. You got to become the leader again. Okay. You have to open her up. And if she, like I said, if she's unwilling to speak, she's stonewalling you, she doesn't want to talk about it, you have to let her know. This is what you could say. Look, this is not going to work if you're unwilling to talk. Okay. A relationship, it takes two people, and closing me out will not work. So we're going to sit here until we figure things out. That's one thing that you can say. Now, if you're the masculine man in a relationship, you're gonna have to lead. Most men give up and check out. Oh, can't make her happy. She's always upset. I'm not gonna even try now. And this isn't what a leader does. Okay. A leader doesn't just fold the moment that other people are unwilling to follow your lead. It means that you have to find a way to become a leader again. Think of it as a managerial position. Maybe you're working at, I don't know, you're working at a grocery store. No one's willing to listen to you. Well, let's look back at some of your behaviors. Well, maybe you were very controlling and you didn't really understand why your workers wouldn't do certain things when you told them to do. But instead, maybe you could just be like, hey, is this something that I'm saying or not saying that is causing you to not do the things that I'm asking you to do? Like, what's going on? What's on your mind when I'm asking you to do certain things? Or why is it taking longer than it should? Like, what's going on? Oh, my feet hurts. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Right? That's you have to show up as a leader again. Now, you always got to be the leader. And when you act like a bitch, she is going to treat you like a bitch. Okay? When you bitch and you complain, you're going to push your woman away into the hands of another man. So, I've seen it so many times. A woman would never leave a man she's head over heels in love with. She will only leave a man she lost attraction and interest to. And usually it's because he stops becoming the leader. And when you stop becoming a leader and you do think that dries her box up like a desert, it's not going to cause her to want to be closer to you. You're going to repulse her. You're going to push her into another man. So yeah, you got to become a leader again. But lastly, if you haven't noticed already, it's communication. So we're going to talk about communication. And I would like to start out with this quote, which is the heaviest weight at the gym is the front door. So it's a lot. What does it mean? It just means that showing up. It just means that you have to show up. So even if you don't want to, you have the discipline for yourself to still show up and learn these type of skills and show up. This applies to anything in your life, in your personal life, your career. You just got to show up. So if you want a happy, healthy relationship, you still have to show up. You got to learn, okay? Sometimes getting through the door and arriving, being able to speak to each other, because you have to be that first person to do it, and you have to learn it too. You have to be the person to understand her. It means that you have to learn to communicate effectively as the leader. You have to learn how to well, you just can't be like, oh, she doesn't want to communicate, I can't communicate. Okay, I've said that already. You have to learn. You have to find your way in, not a way out. So it's like, well, maybe me asking her is not working. So what's going on? Like, what is really going on? Like, what's bothering you? And then you have to be willing to let her go if she's unwilling to patch things up with you. So let's just say, let me give you a scenario. Let's just say you've tried to open up. You've already kind of checked out. And you're like, I've tried everything. Well, probably not. And you're like, hey, look, babe, we gotta talk about this. As much as I don't want to, we're gonna have to if we want this relationship to work. So what is going on? What's bothering you? I'm trying to talk to you. You're closing me off. It's never gonna work. Like, what's going on? Well, I don't want to come and talk to you. This is what she's saying, right? Well, I don't want to come and talk to you because every time I try to talk to you, you're unwilling to communicate well. All you do is scream and yell. Okay, so then that means that you got to be more calm. Already, she's letting you know that you're acting kind of erratic. You're emotionally unstable. That's going to turn her off. It turns anybody off. And so you got to learn. Take a step back. Okay, I understand. And just take it as it is, because that's how she feels. And you want to validate those feelings that she's feeling. Whether it's true or not, you let her express it. Okay, you let her talk. It's not about defending yourself at this point. It's allowing her to come to you and opening her up, true or not. And then you have your place to talk about it right after. So as she's telling you, I never get to talk to you. Every time I talk, you try to butt in, you try to fix my problems. You never let me have any say in anything, and I'm just unhappy. Okay? Well, what does it mean when you say you're unhappy? Are you looking for a way out? Like, what's going on? Well, we've been together for X amount of years and yada yada yada. It's like, okay, so what it sounds like to me is every time whenever we do talk, you're saying that I make you feel uneasy. I make you feel uneasy because I'm emotional. Okay, that's something that I have to work on. And then you own that shit. You own it, and you be like, this is what I'm gonna own. Okay, what else? I'm going to be, and you have to communicate to her that you're going to be more willing to listen. It doesn't mean that you're a bitch, okay? It just means that you're willing to listen and understand her, because a relationship is about giving. A relationship is about love. It's allowing her to come to you. And it's always better if she comes, it's always better when it's the woman that likes you more than you like her. Okay. This is not a game or tactic, but it's always better because it's feminine energy to want her man. If the man is showing competently enough and confidently enough, she wouldn't want another man. She will want you all the damn time. A woman that's in love with you will want you more than you want her, if you know what I mean, in the bedroom. All right. There still might be 11-year-old in here. So she's going to want you more than you want her. If you're doing everything correctly, she's going to want your attention all the time. She's going to want you all the time. And if you do it correctly, that's a good problem to have. Most people have problems where they're like, I'm only getting one time a year and it's only on my birthday. And it's like a pity type of bedroom activity. And that's not the way to live, at least in my perspective. Okay, that to me, it's basically settling. And it's just unwilling to learn. Now, like I said, this is assuming that she's a happy, healthy woman, that she's not a nut job, that she's not like crazy, and she's doing her best. And so that also means that you have to vet properly. So like I said, that's another topic on its own. And so back to this, it's all about communication. It's all about learning how to communicate. It's learning how to ask quality questions. And it's learning how to listen. Excuse me. It's just like sales. When you're in sales, you want to ask quality questions. The person in control of the conversation is a person that's asking questions. So you want to ask quality questions that leads you up to solving their problem or finding out what they want. Because if that's what they want, you don't have to do a lot of guesswork. And so communication, you got to listen, you got to ask quality questions, you got to open her up. Now, most men the main issue isn't that they're not physical enough. The main issue is that she doesn't feel your masculine strength at all. She doesn't feel you. If she doesn't feel your masculine strength, she is not going to respect you. Hands down, she is not going to respect you. If she doesn't respect you, she's not going to love you. And she needs to feel her man physically, emotionally, and spiritually. She needs to know where she's going with you as this competent leader that you are, okay? If you could provide her this type of safety, this cozy type of environment when your presence is around, she's gonna relate that safety with you. And so she's gonna basically not reward you, but she's going to want more intimacy with you. So she's going to initiate a lot of bedroom activities with you, more than you could possibly want. So it's one thing to talk about the lack of intimacy, but it's important to understand why her behaviors changed. So why did her behavior change? Now, if she was once head over heels in love with you, she always initiated bedroom activities, and now she's not, there's a discrepancy. So somewhere along the line, it's still about you, because it's not like she wasn't before. It's just that now she's not. So it's about you. It's not a personal attack. Don't take it personally, but take this as an opportunity to learn. So what you could say is, what were some of the things that I once did that I'm no longer doing that caused her to step away and become a little bit more distant? So as you are the leader, okay? Are you the leader? And as the leader, you want to ask yourself, well, is it because I'm under more stress? Maybe it's from work, whether it's work, family, your personal life, putting stress on you and putting stress onto her. Because like I said, she's not your mommy. She's not your therapist. She's there for you to open her up, to make her feel like she wants you more. That's what a lover is. She's not your mommy. She's not your therapist. All right. So, because if you are like most men in this situation that doesn't know how to handle a situation like this, you will often get angry and you often get upset. And then you become this guy, this kind of like this jack in a box. You never know when you're going to pop kind of thing. You become this jack in a box kind of man. And as I mentioned before, behind anger is always fear. You're fearful of something. You're fearful of maybe losing her. You're fearful of not getting access to the box. Maybe you're just fearful as a guy because you don't believe that you're competent enough to learn the skills to become a competent and confident man. And here I am telling you guys that everybody has an opportunity for this, but most people major in minor things. They will do more to avoid pain than to gain pleasure. And to avoid the pain of learning all of this, they're not going to gain the pleasure of having a happy, healthy, fulfilled, nourishing, grass is greener where you water it type of relationship. So with that being said, that is the end of the show. That is my, are you stuck in a loveless marriage? And if you are, there's ways to fix it, okay? So we're going to be going over the summary of the 4 slides that I talked about, which is feeling stuck. Number 1 was you can't maintain a relationship if the other person refuses to communicate. You must open her up, and if she's unwilling, you have to still decide to be the leader, or decide that, hey, you know what? Enough is enough. I don't want to deal with this anymore. Then you can walk away from it, but at least try your best, knowing that you did your best. And then if she's unwilling to open up, then it's all good. Then you find somebody else or be single or whatever. All right. Now, slide number 2, symptoms of a loveless marriage. One of the primary reasons of a relationship falling apart is the lack of communication. When there's a lack of communication between the two, emotional disconnect is inevitable, which leads to lack of intimacy, leads to lack of communication, things like that. Right. Complaining about sex isn't going to turn her on. All right. So a common theme for most guys in long-term relationships is that they complain that the wife or the girlfriend never wants to do anything with them. And what most guys don't understand is that women have sex with a man she feels more connected to. So woman needs a reason to have sex, and men just need a place. So you have to have a solid reason for her to want to open up physically to you. And slide number 4 was on communication. So if you're not good with communication, at least with, maybe you're a great salesman, but you suck when your emotions are involved, well, you still have to learn. You have to learn to take a step back and be willing to educate yourself, to fill in your knowledge gap, to bridge that type of gap between you and your wife or your girlfriend so that you can understand her. And the best thing that you can do, if you have kids too, didn't mention this earlier, but if you do have kids, the best thing that you can do is to offer that to your kid, showing them a better way of better communication. Hey, look, mommy and daddy might not be together anymore, but yet they're still willing to communicate. They're still willing to do X, Y, and Z. And so then that's how they will grow up and start replicating your type of actions too. So if you have kids, you got to make sure, if you want your kids to grow up happy and healthy, mentally, physically, and everything else, you're gonna have to become that leader again. So regardless, there's really no way out unless you want to be a deadbeat dad. Okay, that's all up to you too. All right. So heaviest weight at the gym is the front door. So you got to be able to show up almost every single time, and you have to learn the fundamentals of attraction. It doesn't matter if you're married or just been together for a very long time. A piece of paper does not change the way of how attraction works. Attraction works by understanding what is your natural essence. Are you more masculine, or are you more feminine? And you have to understand that. If you're more masculine, you're the guy, you have to show up. You have to become the leader again. And if you're not going to be the leader, eventually she's going to find somebody else that will be. So with that being said, thank you all for enjoying the show, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. All right, peace.